This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This is your We Didn't Need Him leader fan radio network.
What do you mean?
And KFAN. That's KFAN.com. 2 minutes and 51 seconds past 3 o'clock Central Daylight Saving Time. Welcome back. Bumper to Bumper Show. It's live. It's local. On the air starting right now on a decidedly gloomy Wednesday afternoon here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Rain today, rain tomorrow, rain Friday, rain Saturday, rain. I think it's like 8 of the next 9 days there's a chance of rain. Did I read that right?
Looks like you arrived at the correct conclusion. Yeah. A lot of rain.
Now that can change, and we've seen it change before. What have we been told about long-range forecasts?
Not reliable.
Not going to work. That they're thrown out there because you got to fill the time, but that they don't really have all that much meaning. My name's Dan Barreiro. I host the program. Guardsy produces the show. And we thank you for your participation in today's festivities, which will include a 3:30 visit from NBA big knocker Mitch Lawrence. NBA Finals resume tonight, not on the fan. Pivotal. You could call it a pivotal Game 3. If you're a fan of the Indiana Pacers and hope that they can really make a series of this and perhaps even shock the world and win it, they are on their home turf tonight. The field house formerly known as Conseco, I believe, has a different name now. Has had several names, has it not, since Conseco?
It was Banker's Life for a while. Now it's Gamebridge Fieldhouse, I believe.
Is that what? Yes, you're right. That's what it's called now.
Greatest city in the world.
Pat, it's the greatest backdrop for an event like this. We know that. Pat Kessler is in studio. He will be in studio. He is scheduled to join us at 5:30 today. On-air production meeting. I have an APB out for John Bream with the breaking news that we've lost another popular music heavyweight, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. But close circuit to Brian Oak or anybody who's around Oak right now, I'd take a phone call from him too. Wouldn't be the worst, right? I'm trying to remember where Oak was on the Beach Boys in terms of their historic, their musical significance. You don't have to necessarily even be a huge fan of the music,
right,
to acknowledge the influence that's involved. And that's what makes, I think, both of these losses so notable. It's not that each of them, Sly Stone earlier in the week and Brian Wilson announced today, it wasn't necessarily just about the music they did, although they did considerably fine popular music. It was how influential they each were in various ways, to varying degrees as well. So if we can squeeze one of them in the 4 o'clock hour, I'm going to text Oak as well. We'll try to do it. We'll see. Again,
definitely worth it.
I talked right before the show to Bossberg, and Bossberg said, "Yeah, look, it was a little before my time, and I don't have a lot of wisdom to give you on them." He's got a lot of musical wisdom. We know that about Greg Swedberg, but we'll try to mix and match that. And if we have listeners who have some thoughts on the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson, Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is, as always, available to you at 64686. That's 646. I'm told Oak was on with Common. I wasn't sure if I looked for the Tennessee tweets, and I didn't see he mentioned that he was on, but apparently he was on with Oak was on with Common earlier today. as he often is. So we'll continue to work through it with Bream.
Oak just called and said he's happy to call in the 4 o'clock hour.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that's nice of him to do. Well, we'll see. Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing, actually. Listeners, we love that there are some listeners who literally listen to this station from the start of the day to the finish. But
sun up, sun down.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is a lot of people move in and out based on their own schedules as well. All right. So I mentioned we are indeed your We Didn't Need Him leader. And well, I'm looking at a headline to sort of set this up. See if this rings a bell or if you remember this. This is a story dated April 30th, 2023. Okay? April 30, 2023. So a little more than 2 years ago. Okay? I'm not going to name the individual, but I'm going to see if it'll come to you. And you'll figure out why we might want to talk about this today. He underwent an MRI today to determine the nature of an elbow impingement. And the results are not promising. The manager said the pitcher will be shut down for the next 4 weeks due to both a posterior impingement and a flexor pronator strain.
Oh, man.
Do you remember who that was about?
Well, I don't specifically, but it's got to be about the guy who threw last night, right?
Your guy, Tyler Mahle.
Yeah, Mahle.
Tyler Mahle. Remember how excited we were when we acquired him before the trade deadline of the previous year, 2022, if you recall.
Yes.
Remember how excited we were? We said,
do.
Okay, starting pitcher's got some pedigree to him. Hey, we're doing the things we used to do that made us perhaps presentable. And, of course, as it turns out, that shutdown, that 4-week shutdown, eventually turned into a season-ending shutdown because he eventually did Tyler Mahle undergo Tommy John surgery. Baseball, we learned again last night, is a funny game. Mahle was in town with the Texas Rangers, correct?
Yes.
Now, he didn't pitch particularly great.
Not his usual Texas Ranger self last night.
But he didn't need to because the Rangers were putting 16 runs up on the board, and one of the pitchers we're trying to fill in with, your guy, Simeon Woods Richardson, was not very effective, nor was the bullpen. They call it in the baseball vernacular a laugher. And obviously, the Mahle storyline became rather key after last night's game. I love the Mahle honesty after the game regarding his quote-unquote return to the scene of the crime, Target Field. It was cool. Minnesota's nice. I like it here. Cool stadium and everything, but I didn't pitch a ton here, so there wasn't a whole lot of sentimental value. But they probably weren't happy with me after what I did here. Well said, right? I mean, and you can't, I don't think you can get mad at him.
No.
He's just acknowledging, what you're supposed to do in that position is pretend there's emotion to give the angle that the writer is looking for.
Right.
I like that he refused to play that game and said, how emotional can this be?
I barely knew where the mound was.
Either party.
Yes.
For me or for Twins fans. He pitched, I think, a total of 9 times.
Yep.
9 times in Minnesota.
Do you think there were any Tyler Mahle Twins jerseys in
That's
the
a great
ballpark
question.
last night or even ever sold at the Majestic Twin Store, whatever they call it there?
That's a great...
Probably not, right?
I would think unlikely, but who knows?
Maybe somebody that just has all of them?
Yeah, it's possible. There's somebody out there.
I liked Rocco's quote, too.
Oh, yes.
We wish he was like that for us, obviously.
Come on, of course we do. But then he wanted to be sure that wasn't taken as a rip on Mahle, so he said he gave us everything he had.
He Roccoed it.
What else was he going to do? He was injured. Because he has been, this is his 13th, the last night was his 13th start of the season for the Rangers. And even though, again, last night he wasn't great, it was his 6th victory. And he went into the game, well, actually, I think currently, after 77 innings, his ERA is 2.34.
That's pretty good.
2.34. And so again, we're reminded baseball is a funny game, and the shifts in any pitcher, many pitchers' performances from year to year based on a million factors, injury obviously being one of the key ones. That was the key one with him. And so many others is why I've continued to maintain that a baseball general manager might be the toughest job of all the chief brain wizard jobs in major professional sports. It's how do you know how this is going to work out with a Tyler Mahle? Now, again, if you want to go back a bit, and we certainly explored this in much detail, the obvious question as his body broke down to the degree it did was, did you guys do your due diligence on this guy? What about that shoulder? And what the Twins at the time said to us, we knew, but that we were convinced that the reports were encouraging and it was something that we could indeed handle. At the time, that sounded like quite an indictment of their vetting process, shall we say, because he basically never pitched here, correct? I mean, he was just never a factor. And so that first attempt, which was we're going to shut him down for 4 weeks, and sort of see where we are, I think the hope was maybe we can save this thing, and then eventually even that was not nearly enough, and he ended up, as I mentioned, basically being an afterthought. His chances of making the Twins Baseball Hall of Fame seem limited. Fair to say?
At this point, but like you say, things can change. Maybe he comes back here and finishes his career strong. I don't know.
Then that would create the emotion.
That'd be a little bit more emotional, yeah.
But that was the key issue back then, right? Was how do you whiff? What was that the day we talked with? We were at training camp. Was that the trade deadline when we were at training camp and that deal, or was that a different deal? I thought that was the Mahle deal.
I had the same thought.
And we talked to Falvey that day.
Yeah, I know we talked to him at one point on trade deadline day, but I don't know if it was that one specifically.
Well, there ain't that many times where we traded for a pitcher at the deadline that might be worthy of discussion.
You're right.
But maybe it was, maybe it was not. But it was, it turned out to be an absolutely disastrous situation here. And again, we've learned the hard way, right? That pitching, even evaluating injuries these days, can be kind of complicated and difficult, but it was hard not to come away from that whole experience saying, my God, how do you not have a little better handle when in almost no time? I think he pitched, after the deadline, he pitched like 4 times for us. I think it was 4 or 5 times, the rest of the 2022 season. But then, like I said, the beauty of it was he was ours for the next season, and that was it, right? He left. He sat. He had to recover. And then I think the Rangers signed him December of 2023? Because he pitched, I think, there last year, 2024, and now this is 2025, correct?
It is, yeah. That was probably the Falvey day because the Twins made 4 deadline day deals that year.
4?
Yeah.
My God.
And I think that's why.
We didn't realize those were the salad days.
Well, I think we did because we had Falvey on right then.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
We have to do it, and it was great.
Yeah, you're right about that.
We threw 8 prospects around, a veteran minor leaguer as well. Derek Falvey said, we believe in this team.
Yeah.
I'm just reading some stuff from 2022.
Yeah. Tyler Mahle. Underwent, it was, like I said, April of 2023. That was early that season. An MRI. When the injuries are, the conditions are described as posterior impingement.
Not good.
And a flexor pronator strain, that sounds more ominous than bilateral leg weakness, does it not? Really does. And it turned out to be quite the case. But again, he lives to tell about it. He's back. He's having a hell of a year. Got a victory against us. And what do we need right now?
Pitching.
Pitching depth to help us forget about a pretty significant injury as well. Let's get our first pause in here. Lots of other stories to get to, and we're going to cover each and every one of them before we wrap things.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Up at 6. That's not the breaking news sounder. That's the follow-up sounder. I was flipping around on the dial last night, and happened to I can't even reveal to you that I knew U.S. men's soccer was playing last night on major. This thing was TNT.
Yeah, Switzerland, right?
But I'm flipping through it, and I'm saying, God, this is serendipitous. We were just talking about the team on the show earlier in the day. Let's see how they're doing in their next game. They were down 4-0 at the half. That was the final. But at halftime, it was 4-0. We lose to Switzerland, a team described in this particular story as a charitably categorized as a C team. So now, U.S. has lost 4 straight for the first time since 2007. Now, here's the asterisk that I think a texter brought up yesterday. Coming off a dismal performance in the March window, its biggest star opted to take the summer off instead of coming to the Gold Cup. U.S. coach Mauricio, is it pronounced Pochettino?
Sure.
With 10 regulars out, reached deep into the pool to try to inject competition. So, I get it. I don't think we were ever supposed to get humiliated by Switzerland, the neutral country, 4-0, right? But is there too much panic going on now, given apparently how many regulars are not even participating? In other words, individuals who I assume we think will be part of our World Cup team a year from now. Is there too much fear and loathing? I need to hear a little bit more about that from the soccer community. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean,
yeah, we got a little bit of that yesterday.
But I didn't realize, if this is accurate, 10 regulars are out. I mean, that's a lot.
That's like most of the team.
Isn't it?
It feels like it.
So maybe we're playing possum. Maybe what we're trying to do. We don't want to show anything. We don't want to give them our best, Swedish skating patterns.
Our tiki-taka.
Exactly. From La Roja. Or we're trying to make other teams, other countries get fat so we can slaughter them, right? I don't know. It's never good. Winning is better than losing. You'd like to think, well, if you really have depth, then you're still going to be competitive, because I don't think Switzerland is considered to be very good. But maybe they had a bunch of people. I have absolutely no idea.
Well, and I'm surprised with all the high-profile games that we're playing right now, all these friendlies going all over the place, and you've got the secondary World Cup here coming up. I'm surprised that they're not hearing about this load management. That was the big thing with TV partners, right?
You're right.
You can't sit out national TV games. You got to play. You got to be a part of the process. You got to be, if you want in on this, you need to make yourself available. Because last night could not have been a fun watch.
I will add that I'm trying to check the. Can you get the box score for last night's game? Is it hard to find a soccer box score?
No, probably not.
See if you can find the soccer box score, because a couple people have said to me that we had 0 shots on goal. That wouldn't be good. That would be ominous a little bit, right? Now, I know there's not as many of them as there might be in hockey, but that would be rather discouraging, no matter who you're putting out there. Correct?
We had 0 shots on goal.
How many did the opponents have? Switzerland.
They had 7.
7.
We had 7 shot attempts, but none of them were on goal.
Were classified as being on goal.
They had 12 shot attempts and 7 shots on goal.
Now, the comeback, a couple soccer insiders are noting via the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line, 64686, and this is a good one. The bigger frustration, Dan, is that these guys are missing the games. There's really no need for it. It's total load management, to your point. And it's why Klinsmann kicked Landon Donovan off the team in 2012. So you'd say, all right, we're a year out, but you're trying to build to something. You've got no equity.
Correct.
In men's soccer in the United States of America. Right?
I can't believe we have load management as a country. Even that's what the Redeem team was about.
Could it be called a schedule loss, though? Didn't we play the night before?
No, we played a few nights ago, June 7th.
Oh, okay. Is that
before that, we hadn't played since March 23rd.
Oh, all right.
But that was the whole point of the Redeem team, right? Was that this was what USA Basketball had become. Kind of the secondary teams that were just being thrown together.
Yes.
And the whole 2008 bit was, you're going to commit to us. You're going to commit to us now for like 2 full seasons, right? Maybe even more. And we're going through this Olympic process together. And that's what they ended up doing.
Yeah.
They won the gold and they've never looked back.
None of it's particularly good, I would say, for sure. Right? So now, see, this is uncalled for here. I've outgrown this particular cheap shot. This is from 763. Let's take a look at for the record. 763 guy. 0 shots on goal. Wow, that sounds like a fun sport to watch. See, I went through that period. I did the obligatory. What a yawner. What's the big deal about soccer? Ridiculous. I can't stand it. Why are we forced to watch it? But I feel like a couple of World Cups ago, in fact, I think we talked about this. I reached, I don't know if I would call it maturity. Maybe I was just tired of the tired ripping, the reflexive ripping of the sport that I was definitely participating in for many, many decades. I'm not going to sit here and say it's my favorite sport. I'm not going to sit here and say I think you're obligated to love it. You can make whatever decision you want on soccer. But I don't hate it as much as I used to. And I don't mind that there's not a million scoring chances. Now, again, for the kids, that's what, in every sport, that's what it's about. It's offense, right? But I think it has part of the reason for me, I think I've warmed to it enough, at least a little, is we don't spend a lot of time on what's the local soccer team here? Professional
Minnesota
team?
United FC.
Or, frankly, the Aurora. More on that later. There might be an interesting guest. Is that confirmed for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
In studio? Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. So for me, it's, okay, there's a novelty to it that makes it fresh. World Cup time, largely, right? Okay, let's ramp it up on World Cup time, which is, I think, the way we've tended to do it over the years. And maybe it's the La Roja in me. Like you said, the tiki-talk, there are some teams that have, they make beautiful music on a soccer, do we call it a pitch? Or soccer
It's called
field?
a pitch, very good.
Soccer pitch?
Yes.
You sure that's not rugby?
It could be rugby,
Could be rugby as well.
Yeah.
So I'm past doing the obligatory, oh boy, more soccer. You know what I'm saying? Where are you on that? Or you still hate it?
No.
Well, you never hated it, I don't think.
Yeah. No,
Maybe you did?
I liked it. It's fine. It's not my favorite. I understand why people like it.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't actively seek out to watch, but when it's on, I don't automatically turn it off either. If I can be any more middle of the road with an answer than that.
I like the spectacle of it. I like that the cheering sections seem different than what we're used to in this country. Well, that is, when they're not beating the crap out of each other. That's
There's
another
that too.
Issue, which is a problem in the game of soccer. I'll tell you what, I'm late. Let's get a break in. We'll find out if Mitch Lawrence is a soccer guy. We will preview Game 3, NBA Finals as well, and we'll see what he thinks is happening to the New York Knickerbockers, who continue to ask for permission for pretty much every popular, pretty successful NBA head coach, and so far they're not getting the answer they're looking for. Game 3 NBA Finals tonight. Plenty to get to on that subject with our next guest, Mitch Lawrence. But before we do, Mitch, you are now based in what we like in the business to call the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. population. I don't even know what your population is now. I mean, it goes up. It seems like every month another 100,000. So where you're based, you obviously get exposed to more information about the Dallas Mavericks. Is there any chance, despite the initial reports which indicate the Mavericks has said don't even think you're going to sniff around Jason Kidd, is there any chance that there is an end game here that could end with the Knicks revealing or introducing Jason Kidd as the head coach to replace Tom Thibodeau?
Well, it's interesting that the reports out of New York are this is not the Knicks' last attempt to get him. So when that's been floated out there by prominent people in the media who are probably getting that from the Knicks, probably means that the Knicks are ready to talk turkey with the Mavericks in terms of giving up whatever assets. They don't have many draft picks. And I don't know what kind of money the owner of the Mavericks wants because this is the big gambling guy out of Las Vegas. But this seems to me like the Knicks will still attempt to go after Jason Kidd and try to make some sort of a trade. I don't involve a player, but we all know that Doc Rivers was traded from Boston to the Clippers, and Jason Kidd was actually involved in the trade years ago when he was with the Nets. He tried to use a power play to get the job of GM in Brooklyn, and that failed. So they threw, Milwaukee was interested, so they worked a trade with the Bucks. So not unusual. I wouldn't say it's over from that standpoint, but I'll tell you what, there are a lot of Knicks fans who are just apoplectic that here they did fire Tom Thibodeau after a sensational season where they had, 10 playoff wins, their most since going to the finals in 99. And it's like they didn't have a plan in place. The plan has basically been, can we try to get a coach who's under contract somewhere else, whether it's Ime Udoka in Houston, whether it's not Chad, but Chris Finch in Minnesota, or Jason Kidd. And actually, the best comments I've read are the Buck fans who want the Knicks to ask for permission to get them Doc Rivers out of town.
Well, here's what's funny about
that. You gotta love that.
Here's what's funny about what you mentioned. I got a tweet, may have even been to both of us before the show when I noted that you were on the guest list, sort of to prep fans for this afternoon's program. And one of them said, I want Mitch to address the fact that there are Timberwolves fans out there who are saying the same thing. Go ahead, New York. Take Finchy. We're stuck with him. We reach a certain plateau, but we can't take the next step. And so we're ready to give Finchy to the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I think that's kind of crazy. As a one-time NBA coach was saying the other day about, the Knicks trying to get to the next level without Thibodeau. He said the next level might be down.
Yep.
That might be the next level. So, I think this is just social media stuff. I don't think the Timberwolves at all are looking to move on from Chris, and I think he's done a tremendous job there. And there too is, it's like what Tom faced in New York. There's definitely roster questions.
Sure.
That he doesn't have a championship level roster. He's got something like the Knicks a cut below. And, the big question obviously isn't the coach there, but what can Tim Conley do roster-wise, whether it's Kevin Durant or somebody else, to address, some glaring needs that were, shown in the playoffs. So, we'll see how that shakes out. But, New York's the same situation. People, and there are a lot of people there are now saying the Knicks should go back and rehire Thibodeau. It's crazy. I mean, it's nuts. And I don't know if you saw, but Tom spent a little money. He's got a ton, of course, and took out a full-page ad in the New York Times.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's move.
It's great because he thanked everybody but Leon Rose, the front office, and the owner, Jim Dolan. Thank the fans, and thank the fans and the players.
Well done.
Fans and players. Oh, yeah, it's a big thing. So, obviously, it's, the people who didn't mention, the obvious people who put the screws to him, who got him out of there, couldn't wait to get him out of there, but now they can't find a replacement. It's unbelievable. And by the way, Mike Malone, to my knowledge, is still available.
Still available. You're right.
I guess he's not good enough for the Knicks.
So is the Memphis guy, right? He's still available.
Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, he's still there too.
It's funny. I was thinking if Kidd, let's say the Mavericks decide, and the stories down here too is that Kidd wants to get the Knicks job, so people are automatically saying, well, how can you have a guy who wants the Knicks job coach your team? I'll tell you how you can do that. You throw extra money at him, and he'll stay and he'll be fine.
Yeah, sure.
But Taylor Jenkins is a Dallas guy.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, he's from Dallas, apparently a local product. Don't know a lot about his background, but I think he went to St. Mark's, which is a big private boys high school down here. And so there's that tie-in, which I'm sure maybe, and nobody really knows. I mean, the Mavericks are radio silent when it comes to Nico Harrison and the owner. So who knows what they're thinking. But it'd be interesting. They must have, every team has to have a game plan in case they lose a coach. So
yeah.
You would think they would have one. You would think the Knicks would have one. But right now, the Knicks don't look like they got any kind of plan.
Is this, Mitch, sort of the classic New York hubris where, we can get anybody we want? Just the delusion of, we're in New York, we're the center of the basketball universe, and we're finding out the reality, given the circumstances and even the dismissal of such a successful coach, are very, very different in terms of everybody wanting to immediately say, whatever it takes, I'll go to New York.
Yeah, I think there is that. And it's also like, I think I mentioned this last time I was on, the Knicks are famous for throwing out these little hints about, we're going to go make a trade. We're going to go offer Kobe Bryant the mid-level exception, and he'll come running to New York, take an inferior contract. Back when Isaiah Thomas ran the show, and they had a little money to play with, they thought they could get Kobe to leave Los Angeles to come play for pennies. Typical New York hubris, typical, you want to play here. Of course, the thing is, when you look at it from a distance, if you actually are a great player and you go in and you get the Knicks to the promised land, which could be their first title in 1973, I mean, you'll have statues outside the Garden. I mean, there is some,
that's undeniable.
Deal with the New York media and deal with the front office and deal with Jim Dolan. That's a lot there, but there is that mentality too that, hey, you should come here because if you win a title here, and there's no better place to win a title for a star, because this hasn't been done since the days of Walt Frazier and Willis Reed. So why not give it a shot?
It strikes me though, if Tibbs had called you first before making the full page ad decision, wouldn't you have counseled him to save a little money and try to just pay for a tabloid full page? Because I assume a New York tab full page is a little cheaper than New York Times full page, right?
Problem is, nobody's reading the tab.
Oh, no. That's devastating.
I mean, if you're talking about circulation-wise, you got to go with the Times.
Yeah.
It's more expensive. I don't read I was at the Daily News for 21 years before they decided to have me succeed elsewhere. And, nobody's reading the Daily News.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are reading the Post. Even online now you got to read their columns, you have to pay up.
That's
you have
true.
To go behind the paywall. So
that's true.
Yeah, I think Tom did it right. I'm just wondering who ghosted that. If he actually sat down and penned that, or if he had somebody ghostwrite it for him. I'm wondering who did that.
Well, you and I both know who would be the ghostwriter. Be Frank Isola.
Bingo! There you go.
That's got Isola written all over him. Yeah, don't you think?
He's got. I'll have to go out. I'll have to call him up. He's busy in Indy.
Yes, he is.
Where the rumor is that they've rushed to have Game 3 tonight. Out of nowhere, they're going to have a final.
They're going to do it. Game 3. All right. Well, that's a good segue.
I think they put it to a fan vote. And they decided, you know what? We've had like one game in 2 weeks, so let's have a third game.
So there's a couple of ways to look at what we've seen through two. One is, the Pacers did what they had to do. They split.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that they were only in the lead for 0.3 of a second. They won the game. The other way is, come on, that game was kind of stolen, and they got dominated in the second game, and reality is once again setting in that Oklahoma City is just flat out the best team in basketball. How do you view this series going into tonight's game?
The way that Oklahoma City took care of business in the second game kind of reminded me of the Denver series a little bit. We'll see, obviously, how they handle things tonight. I still think they're the superior team. It could be a gentleman's sweep, lose one, win 4 straight. We've seen that over time. The thing to me that I just can't figure out, and I'm sure Rick Carlisle's in there with me, is, Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton's one of these stars who can, win you games late, playoff games, with these unbelievable dramatic shots, which you're thinking the guy is like a top, he's in a super elite player. And then the next game he doesn't show up. So I can't figure out, how can they actually win games if he doesn't show up until the last 0.3 of a second. I mean, he showed up in the fourth quarter of game one, but he wasn't great shakes. So I'm still going with Oklahoma City to win this thing. And I think that they just got a little too – they've got really superior players and depth than Indiana. That's the way I'm looking at it. And by the way, I know Indiana is a tough place to play. Really is loud, great crowd, really vicious, and they can, they're really tough place to play. But Oklahoma City's played in a lot of those type of places before. Indiana won't be the first place. I think they're used to it, and I think that they'll, I could see them, winning tonight and going on to winning, 4 straight.
Here's your stat. I'm sure you've seen it. The Pacers' record when Halliburton scores less than 20 points, 27-28. Pacers' record when he scores 20 or more, just 20, not 25 or 30, 20 or more, 32-4. So there it is.
Yeah.
That's the deal. That's what it's going to come down to. Can he? Now, some of this we have to factor in. Part of the reason he ain't scoring is Oklahoma City has the best defense in basketball,
right.
But he has to it's one of those games, is it not, where he's got to be selfish. He's got to force it, even if he's missing shots. You go down that way rather than I'm not even going to try to score enough to give our team a chance.
Well, let me ask you this question. How many true superstars do you have to keep reminding, hey, dude, you got to be aggressive. Why aren't you going to the hole? Why aren't you shooting? I mean, nobody ever had to tell Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, the list goes on and on. Larry Bird, you got to go out and be aggressive tonight. Tonight, this is that. I mean, it's like weird, but it also, to me, tells you kind of like, okay, he's young and he's still developing and he's still growing. But there's some guys who take the court. You didn't have to tell Allen Iverson to be aggressive, so. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things, and he better get going because he's going to run out of games. He's going to run out of time. And if he has performances similar to what we saw in Game 2, that's going to follow him. That's going to be, unfair or not, that's going to be his legacy going into, and it's early, but going into next year, the big question will be not what he does in the regular season. All right, when he gets to the playoffs, is he going to, finally figure out, hey, he's got to be aggressive all the time. Mm-hmm. That's something he needs to take care of by himself. I can't figure him out from that standpoint.
Same here. Over the years, nobody had to tell Darko Milicic to take 25 shots when he was with the Wolves. Nobody had to tell him that. He said, I know, that's my responsibility. I accept the challenge.
Darko Milicic, I'll tell you, that's still a draft that haunts Joe Dumars. And that's right. Why Joe Dumars hasn't gotten any job since. Oh, that's right. He just got
New Orleans, right?
Names of the, he's heading north. But taking him over Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, and I'll tell you what, I'm eternally grateful because I didn't like the drive from the airport in Detroit all the way up to Auburn Hills. Yes. You're basically in a suburb of Flint.
Correct.
So when Joe did that guaranteed we weren't going to Detroit anymore. Once that kind of run ended, it was like, thank God he didn't get Carmelo Anthony. Imagine if Carmelo Anthony added to that team. Man.
Well,
they might have won a few more titles up there.
Yeah, it was crazy. Either way, whether you were covering the Lions back in the Silverdome days or Pistons, right. You're right. That was not a short commute at all.
And by the way, I don't think your listeners know this, but I think we covered a very famous finals back in 1989 where Detroit and Joe Dumars swept out the Lakers. And Randy Galloway is still mad that we stole the Pitmobile, the town car, to go to practice while he was late going to the track.
That's true. That's a great story. That's a good callback for sure. He still hasn't gotten over it either. By the way,
he blamed us for the losses.
Yeah, 100%. So we know Durant's going to go somewhere, right? The issue on him is there's going to be, I think, a lot of interest. To me, the key, including from the Wolves, there's no question about that. I think the key to this is because everybody keeps writing that the Suns are not, they are lowering the price tag, but we don't know exactly what that means. That it's not going to be quite as expensive to get him as you'd think, given the name. Now that he's a little bit senior, approaching 37 years old. So what do you think it's good? What do you think his value is in terms of trades? What do you think it is right now?
Oh, boy. Well, Phoenix should be looking for, a young star in draft picks.
Right.
That's the type of thing I'd be looking for. I have no idea how they want to handle it. But listen, you have enough teams that have interest. And I've heard that the Knicks now have kind of dropped out. So that's the latest in New York, is that they couldn't get Kidd and now they couldn't get Durant. So it's more reason for Knicks fans to just, go crazy. But I think there are enough teams, whether it's Minnesota, Miami, San Antonio. Yep. I still got to think Houston is going to be involved, that they're going to get something pretty good. It may not be the, King's ransom that we've seen it's not going to be like the Knicks giving up, 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, that crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think they should get a pretty good haul because, Kevin Durant is still a very good offensive player. Now, do you want to pay him an extension?
He wants an extension,
yes. You got to pay 2 years extension.
Yeah.
That's nuts. The one team that I'm going to rule out from the start is Miami, because Miami is kind of like the Knicks. They're always throwing their hat in the ring for, Giannis or Lillard or whoever it's going to be, including Kevin Durant. I just don't think they have the assets. I think Pat Riley wants guys like that because he knows what it takes to win. But I think you got to have some big time, especially now you're in a big time. This is going to be for Phoenix. They should be able to clean up. And, with the Knicks, all they have to do is ask for Karl Anthony Towns, and that would match salary-wise, get him to play alongside his old Kentucky teammate Devin Booker. Now, Leon Rose and those guys may not win and give up Karl Anthony Towns, and Knicks fans might. But, hey, that might be a move that the Knicks have to make, or feel like, we can do it without Karl Anthony Towns, but we can get Kevin Durant and maybe add, beef up the bench. Who knows? But there's going to be a bunch of teams. So, yes, I think they're going to get a decent haul, but I don't think they're going to get the King's ransom.
Last question for Mitch Lawrence for today. We've talked a lot on the show in recent days and weeks about the ESPN/ABC NBA Finals presentation. And a lot of that, of course, has to do, too, not just with the production part of it, but with, the play-by-play and color analysts. And I don't feel it. I don't feel a good vibe with it. I don't hate them, but I don't think they elevate the broadcast. So as a guy, you've been around all these TV crews. You've watched them. You know a number of these individuals. What's the Mitch Lawrence view of the current state of the A team for ESPN/ABC when it comes to the NBA Finals?
It needs an overhaul. Listen, it's hard. What made Van Gundy, Jeff, and Mark really good was they had the banter going.
Yep.
They had a conversation during a game. Sometimes it would go a little haywire, but it was fun working with Breen, and it was good, and it was solid. Plus, they knew their stuff, and they had certain gravitas. I know Doris and I know Richard Jefferson a long time, and to me, they're just not first-team guys at this point. Now, can they improve that? You bet they can. I think the first thing for ESPN, one of the best things for them is they don't even have a post, they don't have posting shows. They just show it to Scott Van Pelt. Well, that's where Charles Barkley is going to fill that void with Shaq and Kenny and Ernie. That's going to be great. But in terms of what do they need to do, there are already rumors that Doris is out the door, which probably means it's true. And I'm sure they could do better than Richard Jefferson just in terms of getting a more high-profile guy who might bring eyeballs to the set.
Yeah.
The thing that I noticed, which was weird, besides that this was just like a regular season game in a way, Dan, was that I looked on the court, there was no NBA Finals logo, script logo. There was no, and then I guess they did that TV trick where they can do that from a studio and superimpose them on the court. I mean, I don't know. It was like the league, and then the players had the finals thing on their back where you really don't see it as well as when it's on their front, the special finals logo. It seemed like they treat the cup, the midseason at Emirates Cup, bigger than the NBA Finals, which is weird to me. It's just like, this should be your marquee event. This is your you're crowning a champion, which is the biggest thing you got in your sport. Like, why weren't they dressing up the court and giving us all the bells and whistles they usually do? So that kind of like, when I saw the court and I was listening to the broadcast, it was like, hey, this could be a regular season game in February. It's no big deal.
Well said. Great conversation as always, my friend. We'll be in touch as this thing plays out. Thanks, Mitch.
I'll tell Galloway we'll have the car back in a few.
That's it.
All right.
Oh, good stuff. Thanks, man. Be good.
See ya.
Mitch Lawrence, longtime Dallas Morning News basketball writer, then New York Daily News basketball writer. He's written for a bunch of publications after, Sporting News included. Now you can hear him most often on Sirius XM. He's kind of like the NBA channel. He's kind of like their heavyweight utility guy. Somebody else is out. He's generally the first guy to go to, and he does a very nice job, sometimes with Isola, sometimes with their weekend crew, and a number of different individuals. Top of the hour pause now. Don't forget Kessler at 5:30, Brian Oak at 4:30.
Correct.
Helping us do our ode to a dead guy for the second time this week. Another musical heavyweight has died. And when we come back, what time is your apology to Panakuchen Hoos? We'll explain.